He's here, Glaron. King Gricka.
King Gricka, huh? Sounds like the ancients finally voted you the big chair.
That's right, my Jarl. But I want to be clear that for our kingdoms to reunite, we must have 2 realms and 2 kings. The Council of the Ancients sent me here to discuss these terms and what I think will be an offer you can't refuse.
Go on, then.
We are prepared to offer you the title King of the North, as well as give you the island fortress of Valvik in return for your cooperation in an invasion of Vlandia.
You know our realm has expanded widely since we were exiled by King Canute. Now that he's moved on, though, we do seek an amicable return to the Nordic Council.
The Vlandians have expanded almost at will since the strife between Clan Heavyhand and the Forkbeards. Indeed, Sven Forkbeard is still against reuniting, but the other clans all agree that together we are stronger. A lone finger can be broken, but 5 fingers together makes a fist. Help us destroy, or at least badly wound the Vlandian Empire, and your title and possessions will be returned.
What kind of an invasion? Our forces are spread out across a vast empire, and we have separate armies guarding the eastern and southern fronts.
A major invasion. With you at the head of it is the only way this will be possible. Our Nordic forces will launch multiple prongs of assault across the northern shores of Vlandia. But we need you to both distract and destroy Vlandia through its soft underbelly. The rewards I have mentioned are conditional on you taking 3 cities from Vlandia and sacking at least 2 of them so that their financial capacity to wage war is badly compromised. Do this successfully and we will be able to make strong invasions in the north, and the Vlandians will be forced into a subjection and terms we will find agreeable.
And what kind of time frame are we talking about? We have maybe 1,200 men that are war-ready on our western fronts.
Now, my Jarl. That is why Jarl Skoll arranged your meeting with such urgency. Our forces are set to sail from Valvik and Revel the day after I left to meet you here. They will be arriving in the Vlandian lands in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, you really are optimistic, weren't you? And if we refused?
Then we would have done the best we could on our own. The clans are all resolved to never surrender.
Huh. Yeah, it is too good to be true. Why give up the island of Valvik and its rich provinces for war-ravaged Vlandian and Batanian fiefs? The northern clans don't seem
Because our ultimate goal is to take Pravend, and maybe even Galend, the richest 2 cities in all of Calradia, they say. After we both gash the enemy defenses and take prominent cities, they will be forced to sue for peace, and our plan is to demand the richest northern cities in exchange for help pushing back the Aserai to the south next summer.
Yeah. All right, you have a deal. It's a lot of ifs to make it all work, but the reward is definitely worth the risk. And you have yourself an alliance, King Gricka.
No, we must not do that. In fact, we must remain technically at war while these invasions happen. If the Vlandians get word of our war alliances, they may ally with the Aserai and even attack your southern flank. Or worse, they might try and exterminate the Nords in the north to get revenge. Tell no one of this meeting. That is, of course, besides Lady Gulta here, or all will be at risk.
Very well then. The 2 of us do love a good conspiracy. Farewell, King Gricka. Don't fail, and you're part of the bargain. We must have a strong northern invasion to distract the Vlandians to make this work.
Anytime you see 4,000 forces on your border, it gets your attention. They're 3 or 4 days away from a few of our cities down here. Yusuf ibn Ayyub, indeed, Salahuddin, his name before he became Salahuddin, And we're arriving at Diathma here, and we're gonna talk about some stuff here. So let's fire up an episode here. We got to reinforce the city and drop some food. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment's YouTube channel. Our channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. You are watching our Epic Nord campaign, and things are getting spicy as things behind the scene are stirring. You can play along with us on the role-playing side. We love to make these campaigns fascinating for you fellas. We're effectively going to be having a little conspiracy here, a little quest. And Glaron Heavyhand has got a lack of archers in his army, but we have enough skirmishers to make it work. And we're about to enter into a secret alliance with the Nords, with King Agricka here has taken over. King Canute is disappeared. People think he's dead. Nobody's really sure. And we can't actually make an alliance. In fact, they don't want us to make an alliance. We already have an alliance with the Northern Empire, and they're concerned, obviously, that the Vlandians will turn their wrath on them, or maybe even ally with the Aserai, which would be a disaster for everybody. Now, basically the goal here, the quest that we're going to take on for this is a campaign, is an offensive campaign. I find these fun. Now, you never have to do these in the actual campaign, but on a role-playing level, we are going to try to take 3 cities, probably Pencannock, Senon, and Lagetta, from the Vlandians. And if we succeed, along with some northern attacks, we will be reunited with the Nord Kingdom, right? We will be able to invite some of their clans into our kingdom, expand, and hopefully live happily ever after. Now, there's other variables that are at play here, right? The Vlandians are certainly going to have something to say about it. Salahaddin may have something to say about it. And of course, we're still in this alliance with the Northern Empire, and we're still fighting the Khazate, right? We want to have this difficult and dynamic setup here. We're holding an Eastern Front, and it helps that the Northern Empire is allied because we have a call to war out there. They are actively fighting the Khazate almost as mercenaries, right? They're not thrilled that we're not marrying our children into their family anymore. Quite frankly, it would be Glaron Heavyhand's preference that we married into some Nordic families, hence the other reason to reunite with the clans. Now, we talked about Sven Borkbeard a few times. That's the father of King Canute historically, and in this campaign, somehow he's over 100 years old and hasn't died. It's pretty amazing. I don't know why. What's happening here with the deserters? I still am mystified by the deserter part. I know Isla has enough money. I guess we could put more food in this city, but I have no idea why Isla would be starving here. I mean, I don't get it. There's loyalty, there's security. In any case, we're going to leave a bunch of food here. We do have over 1,000 troops, and we do have a couple castles that we can reinforce our army a little bit larger, because one of the most difficult things about a campaign like this is the war of attrition. Running out of troops, right? We have 6-7 armies with us. We've got a couple more coming our way. We have recalled a couple armies for this invasion. Sigvatar Thodarson. In fact, there's almost 400 at Uthalheim. That's going to be nice. Sigvatar Thodarson has an army out there as well. We're trying to leave an army in the field for this mission. It doesn't mean I won't call them, but it depends on what kind of trouble we get into, right? We're going to be not just kicking the hornet's nest, but kicking it and then going into putting our head into the nest after it's kicked. Man, it's a strange army. We have 65 archers. So I'm going to be prioritizing upgrading archers from our troops for a little while. We've gotten to a critical point. I never want to have less than 20% archers, although we do have a decent amount of archers in our other armies here. I was looking at one of them, and half of their army was archers. Yeah, see, I don't want to steal any troops from Sigvatar Thodarson. He's going to be the only defense for the homeland when we leave. Right before I don't know if we're going to include it or not, but right before I made the intro, an Aserai force of 4,000 was sieging to the south. And we can add this guy. He seems like says he's nearby. Oh, he's just in the city here, so he can join us. That'll give us 1,100. And logistics are part of a campaign like this, right? This is a lot of fun for me. A lot of guys think logistics are boring, but I always think it's fascinating. Trying to manage your resources, trying to have enough troops, trying to pick up troops and food along the way, making sure you have enough horses, making sure you have armies to call in case things get messy. And I love the idea of a campaign. Campaigns were very, very common in the medieval era because you didn't have the back and forth that you do in Bannerlord. They would make big salvos and invasions. Think of like the Crusades, where they marched hundreds of miles, just scores of kilometers to get to a target, and it would take months, in some cases years, because they had to go mostly either on foot or with saddle horses. All right, let's get more of our sons upgraded here. This will be beautiful here. If we get lucky, we'll get all 3 points to bow. That's 2 points. Wow, he got the extra bow point. If you don't know how this works, there's an RNG level to this, where basically your character can get above the maximum focus points to a skill. I'm pretty sure Heinrich is going to be the greatest archer in the history of the game. And probably the sons of the fellow who's supporting the channel is thrilled to hear that, because they are named after sons of a supporter for the channel. I just love having them along for the ride. We will withhold all F-bombs and swearing for the next 15 minutes in case they're watching, but I'm sure they're catching an occasional profanity-laced tirade. It's the nature of the channel. We try to keep it to a minimum, but sometimes when you're getting attacked, it doesn't work to say shoot, darn, shucks. You got to let it out. Now this is very interesting. It's actually optimal for us here because in this case, the Vlandians, I have lots of forces. If we can squash this army here before we start our invasion, better yet, if we can capture the queen. And is this guy? This guy's right here. We're going to try to pick this guy up too. We have this totally scuzzy, they are just a disgrace. To me, it's the worst clan, right? The Embers party or whatever. I'm just going to tell these guys to go away. We're going to upgrade this minor clan right before this invasion. I was just lamenting our lack of archers. And by adding Rafard, he's in here somewhere. I can't click him. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. These guys are not friends. They do not play well together. And I can't interfere. We're going to pick this guy up, right? This guy, Rafard, I think we can add him. I don't think we've, heard our relations. He's crossbows, company of the boar, and we need archers, something fierce. So we've discharged. We let the embers of the flame go, and immediately our new mercenary clan is fighting. They don't like each other, I guess, fighting the mercenary clan that we just let go. Like he's trying to run away. Here, come here. Get over here, Rafard. Quit your fighting and fight for us. That was a funny dynamic here. All right, come on. Sweet. And now he can't join our army. I don't know why. But that's a good thing, right? We'll be able to add 1 or 2 of the company of the boars. And we got to try to take down this Vlandian force first. Correction. We're going to take it down. We can add all 3 of these. It said a second ago he wouldn't join our army. I'm not sure why. But now we're going to have 1,600. We need to squash Isagun here, Queen Isagun, like a bug. Of course, this is always interesting, playing the other side of it. Anybody who watched the Vlandian campaign knows Queen Isagun was one of the Baron's last and most prominent children in the campaign. She's now in charge of the Vlandians, and they've done very well, but this is a good opportunity for us here. They're sieging. They're going to be wounded. We'll probably get garrison help. The garrison is pretty thick there, too. We're going to be able to borrow some of those troops. And we're trudging in the snow. It's so slow now, Bannerlord. When you have a large army in the snow in Bannerlord, it's painful how slow you move. But we need it for this first battle here, right? This is going to be a tough battle. There may be reinforcements, right? That's going to be the hardest part of this invasion into Vlandia is the reinforcement system, because the enemy's going to have lots of reinforcements. We're going to be kicking literally the hornet's nest. We're going to get stung. So we've got our Benadryl. We've got our ice to put on all the welts we're going to get. And we had a couple upgrades. Chara. We're getting some beautiful upgrades, right? She gets more endurance. We got to get her a weapon eventually. She literally has no weapon, just throwing axes. And William of the North is going to continue to progress as a captain here. He's going to be a flanking skirmisher captain. He'll probably command the 2nd Division on a regular basis. Their division is going to move fast. They are going to cut in hard on enemy positions and be a blitz flanking skirmisher division. For anybody who's curious, William also is part of our Discord, part of the great crew of folks that keep our Discord running smoothly. He made a lot of improvements to it. God, what a beautiful battlefield. They're right over that hill. I think that's opportunity right there. And William Wallace, right? William Wallace is a character he wanted in the campaign. I don't know if I'm supposed to say the guy's name, so I won't say the name, but he reached out and said, hey, I do stuff like this for a living. I would love to organize your Discord, make it run smoother, give people titles, all kinds of improvements to it. And he did. He was just fantastic. And so I appreciate that, brother. We've got you in a division, and he'll be leading skirmishers on a regular basis. Of course, Joel Hall and some others in the Discord, they help it keep the environment that we've set so far, and I'm very proud of it, right? Most of the credit goes to them. But we've always had the principle that we're not going to tolerate bullying, that we're not going to tolerate any kind of racism, sexism, any kind of isms, right? There won't be any kind of hate, whether it's sexual preferences or whether or not you like to play with Legos. You know, if you're a fan of cricket, though, that stupid sport they play in England, though, we're gonna make fun of you. Everything else, though, is off limits, though, right? So we've really cultivated a good environment in our Discord, and I appreciate all of the help from Joel Hall and the other fella who I'm not sure I'm supposed to say his name, so I'm just not gonna. In any case, thank you, fellas, for that. Now, what an unbelievable, beautiful situation we have here, both tactically and graphically. There's just like this, it's just breathtaking, man. You've got snow, the sun is filtering through the trees here, and enemy forces are about to pour down this hill, and they're going to pour right into our skirmisher convexed V here. This is going to be disgusting. We have a lot of skirmishers, and you know what? We actually have a good amount of archers now because we picked up the Company of the Boar, right? We picked up a bunch of crossbow. They will have their their tier 4 and tier 3 crossbow. The minor clans do a very good job now at recruiting the minor clans, right? Like in the vanilla, like a year ago, you would have like 3 Company of the Boar and a bunch of other ragtag units. Now they have like 100 or 50, whatever they're called, the veteran Boarman or whatever. I think it's great, right? It gives a flavor to these minor clans. Now we're going to kite right into a kill box here. I've got the cavalry out in front, and what are we doing with it, right? You guys are familiar with it right now. It's like we've sort of stumbled into one of the best ways to use cavalry if you don't have very many. And that is a defensive square that you put way out in front, right? It's in the midst of a bunch of horses right there. There's 79 cavalrymen in a square, and that's going to absorb a tremendous amount of attention, enemy crossbow bolts, infantry, etc. Now we can move our skirmisher. Oh shit, that guy, I thought you were on our side, man. And we've got skirmisher divisions closing in on both sides. We've got shock troops here at the back, just opening up a big solid donut center here. And once they're hammered enough by all these different skirmishers, as their divisions sort of sway back and forth being immolated, then we can have these 4 divisions charge, and they're going to insta-die to that charge. Bring this 3rd division up here, and it's time to carve some Vlandian meat for the turkey here. Charge. And every single guy has got 12 bolts and 3 javelins in their shield, and now they get ripped apart. I mean, when you have good tactics, a good army, and mediocre AI, we're going to need bigger challenges than this. And this is essential still, right? I think that's Queen Isagan right there. It's essential that we have less than 200-300 casualties here, right? We can't have 700 casualties our first big battle because we won't even be able to launch our assault. We're not going to be overtly strict with the timing. But the Vlandians and the Nords are at war, right? So there's definitely a chance that the Nords attack the Vlandians, and obviously that'll perfectly fit some role playing, right? And we're going to make... I haven't made it yet, but we're going to make a little cutscene explaining sort of the politics of it. I'm enjoying, making some of these inner details, and these guys are still pounding on this cavalry square. What an amazing job it did. It absorbed a huge amount of damage. Right now, a lot of them died, but they're cavalrymen. What do you think Glaron Heavyhand thinks of cavalry, right? Charge. Now it's our turn to get offensive. Their crossbow and archers are reeling here. Now they've got a bit of a blind ridge there, so we're going to have to get in position quickly. If these guys get reformed, they're definitely going to have a reverse slope decline. And I think we have to attack here because they're the ones attacking the castle. I think technically they're on defense, and so we got to get to the edge of this ridge fast. Oh, God, it's a beautiful game. It's ASMR. I mean, it's absolutely ASMR, and it's part of the reason we play video games, to get that pleasurable feeling. It certainly is. With the tactical elements that are going on here, this just unbelievably breathtaking scene. Where's that shock troop division? Get up here. Need these archers in place, skirmishers to our right, and then once this formations here to the right are set up, and we're getting kind of sprayed around the edges here. This is going to be tough to push through. Then we could push our shock troops over the top. They got a lot of troops here. The good news, though, is they're not going to be able to really get cavalry loosed in here, right? We're in a narrow pass, and so we can close our units in here. And I don't see any cavalry, but inevitably they're going to have cavalry, and they're going to get jammed up real bad. We're starting to pull back, push hard, push. I see you coming for me. Still got lots of health. I'm anticipating reinforcements, and I don't know if they're going to get 1,800 or 180, right? That's one of the unknowns about the reinforcement system. That's great. Archers can open fire now that they have some good high angles here. Still no cavalry. I guess they don't have any. I don't see any. Oh, shit. It's like they snuck up. All of a sudden, there's 300 cavalry on our flank. But this is what I meant. Look how badly jammed up they are. They can barely move. And no speed, right? Talk about fish in a barrel. Cavalry moving 4 miles an hour is dead cavalry. And they're stabbing our archers over here, and the death spam looks bad, but we're going to get reinforcements. And these cavalrymen are of virtually no use, other than to make for a beautiful, gory, beautiful battlefield here for me and for you guys who hate Vlandian cavalry. Take that, Vlandia! We're going to eat your liver! Still got lots of health here. We're ripping them. And this is what I meant. They can't move. Our archers are hacking on them. And there must be 400 cavalry here, all just stacked up like cordwood. And that's exactly what we're doing to them here as we gain levels. Hold on, Patreon supporters. We are at 8 on the death for all, right? So the death rate for this campaign is going to be very high from this stage out. We're not going to lower it. There is going to be losses, right? There are going to be cases where you get into the campaign. Maybe you got a character that you want in this campaign, and they die in their first battle. That's just going to be a thing. And, of course, I just saw Skeld go down. The enemy's going to die, too. They're going to suffer losses as well. Queen Isagun might be killed in combat, right? That's sort of the random beauty of it. So I would say this campaign is 5% contrived and 95% just organic, right? We're just letting shit happen. It actually makes sense strategically for us to devastate the Vlandians because I think they're the biggest and strongest kingdom in the realm. It's always better. We learned from the English, right? You want a balance of power. And our forces here can set up on this ridge, I think, before they get reinforcements. Oh, shit, never mind. Not when they pop out instantly right in front of you. They just propagated. Look at, they're just popping up like mushrooms. Charge. Laser weak crossbow, tier 3. They don't even have shields. To hell with you, right? Let's cut their heads off. And the heavy hand unloads. Still have half a health bar. All right, we got to get archers up here. Our reinforcements are starting to lag, and I see even more Vlandians behind all these guys. But we are ripping this Vlandian force up. And this is exactly the kind of battle we needed. Now, the Nords won't join us in battle. What I mean by that is we should not expect any allies, reinforcements. There's a possibility we get from our own kingdom, right? Sigvatar Thodarson is not close enough, but we could get armies that join us, even though there aren't that many. We could get like a caravan or something. And I'm having a hard time commanding my character because the enemy keeps stuttering because it's trying to rout. I don't know if you guys see it on your end, but it's like it's trying to rout and then it turns to fight and then it routs and then it turns to fight and now they've finally fled off the map. They keep turning around like they're indecisive. Look at now, there they go again. Run, everyone run. Let's fucking put the boot down here. Écrasez l'enfant. En français, c'est vous préférez. All right. Mission number 1, destroy the Vlandian standing armies. They'll probably have another one. Maybe they have two, right? So this is not going to be easy, but that's a good first start. 220 loss. That's, it was a bloody battle, but that's still a good kill ratio considering the forces we fought here. Tons of upgrades, and critically, no death. I'm shocked, frankly, that there is no death. With that big of a battle, with the death for all. But in the past, our experience with the death for all mod has basically been, and look at Gulta. She's still upright. That's a superhero woman right there. She's 16 kids and mows people down in combat and stays on her feet. In the past, what our experiences with the death for all mod, and come with us, Queen Isagun. You see her bio here. She looks the same as when we were controlling her. She looks a little bit more disheveled. She kind of looks like she's got the stroke face, where half of her face is falling off to the side. And we'll take these troops here. We may do some editing in these, or we may just do continuous. I haven't decided yet. There's some monotony to this. I think we were talking about last episode how I edit probably for every hour you see, there's about 15 minutes edited out, because you guys don't need to see this. Sometimes I'll edit out the prisoners, right? If we take 100 prisoners or something like that, it can be kind of tedious, especially when we take a city. It takes, 2, 3, 4 minutes just to sort through the troops, figure out what troops we want to leave in the garrison. But let me see if I can't finish that point. The Death for All mod, it seems almost like it's random. And, well, it is random, but it seems kind of like you either get a bunch of death or hardly any. And so we will see. It is going up, and we're going to go even higher eventually, right? The Death for All mod, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, increases death chances for all nobles. Ours, theirs, children, everybody, right? Not like your 6-year-olds, but, anybody in the battle that goes down. I think right now it's 100 times or 50 times the normal rate. And this is beautiful, right? There's a Nordic force sieging here. I don't coordinate that, right? I don't have any control over the enemy AI, but knowing they were at war, that'll fit beautifully into a cutscene. So it's an unofficial alliance, and this was common, right? Both throughout the late modern period, the 16th, 17th, 18th century, but also in the 12th, 13th century. You would do alliances, especially the church was involved in it, because of course the Pope was trying to be neutral. Right, but they would have alliances with such and such kingdom, and it would be a secret alliance where they didn't tell anybody, right? There's implications and reasons you don't want to do that, right? You can imagine, just think of the case of the Pope, right? The Catholic Church. If there's a bunch of duchies and France and England and 10 other countries that have Roman Catholics, the last thing you want to do is alienate an entire country or kingdom because you're giving favors to their enemy, right? And of course, this was actually prominently part of history, whether it was Napoleon when he took the guy prisoner, or Charles V, where I didn't tell those barbarians to sack Rome. They just did it. I know I was paying them, but I didn't. It's not my fault. There were all sorts of instances where secret treaties played major roles in human history, and it's fun to have one in our Bannerlord campaign here. Now, I'm going to leave the Queen, I think, and a bunch of other prisoners here in this castle as leverage. Not leverage like real leverage, but on a role-playing level, right? If we get captured at some point or other, Glaron Heavyhand is despised by Vlandia. We don't need to be executed here. If we have the Queen, I figure if we get captured, if we fail on this, we'll be able to say, well, better ransom us, otherwise, we can a head for a head. One of those kind of things. And that was also something that was quite common. Although, when it came to like the head of a state, it was a lot more than ransom. There was a situation where Francis I of France, kind of awkward name, he got captured at a battle called Pavia against Charles V and a large force of mercenaries and Holy Roman Empire forces, Spanish forces. He fought like a wolf, and he fought like a badass, and ultimately he commanded like a dipshit. Got a little bit too reckless, a little bit of hubris, and he was captured, right, by Charles V. It was a huge ordeal. And they held him for quite a while. And it wasn't like, you know, Bannerlord, where that's one of the biggest faults probably of Bannerlord from a diplomatic level. Like if you capture King Caladog, they're like, oh, we'll give you a ransom. We'll give you 1 day's worth of revenue. We'll give you 2,800 for Caladog. Fuck no, right? They should be giving you like 2 million or something like that. And the kings should try not to get captured, right? Because it would be a disaster. In the case of Francis, they actually ransomed his kids. What he said is, look, I'll give you my kids, as Francis gave control of his kids, turned over his kids for his freedom, and then said, to hell with this, I'm out of here. But anyways, it's too complicated a situation to explain with all this shit going on. The Nords have taken Carbantheth. We're being besieged down here by the Khazate. We're going to lose Saronia. But you remember what I've said about that in the first place, right? We have the Northern Empire down there, and they are fighting for us. They are at war basically as a mercenary force for us against the Khazate. That's a beautiful situation for us. And I don't know if I'll show you this. This is going to be a blazingly fast siege here. So the Northern Empire is really helping us hold the southeast, right? They're going to help us hold back the Khazate tide. Also, I mentioned it before, because we took 2 or 3 castles in a couple cities. We took Makeb, we took Saronia. That's going to really slow the Khazate down, biting into what I consider is our territory. Oops. I didn't realize it was going to end so quickly. They're already done fighting the Khazate. I wonder... Oh shit, the alliance is dissolved. Well... I didn't anticipate that. That's a snafu on my end. And now Diathma is being besieged. But look at the Nords. They're sieging Astor Castle. I love it, right? This is great. In fact, Sigartor is Jolhals. Yeah, how come I can't ever remember the name of it? Yeah, you guys know what I mean at this stage. His name is hard to pronounce. He was a famous skald back in that era. Sigvatar Thodarson. I try to say it every so often because it's not a name that I roll right off my tongue. He's sieging as well, right? So we're applying massive pressure here to Vlandia. These forces may engage in this city, so I'm just going to continue. What do we do here? I'm going to continue to narrate. Get a little caffeine. We've got a vast army for this, right? We're not really threatened. In fact, it's very probable these Vlandian forces don't engage. But I'll continue to just narrate poorly. All right, we'll do some bad narration and look at our ring defense here. We have so many troops. We just have a gigantic reserve division here, right? We've been doing this consistently. We have the Battlesize mod running, so there's 2,000 units on the battlefield. It says we have 1,097 infantry, which is more than you can have on normal vanilla. And then we have 583 archers. That is amazing. We have 1,700 troops right here. And it's a little bit absurd, right? There's fucking troops everywhere, but this is obviously what a real siege would feel like back then. There'd be 5 times this many troops, right? The siege of Vienna in what, 1640, 16... Damn, I can't remember the years of all these great events. The siege of Vienna where Jan Sobieski, right? Was it Jan Sobieski came up with his Polish division of 25,000 cavalry and stormed? That was like 50,000 or 100,000 assaulters, right? So you can only imagine the scale of this shit. It must have just been incredible. Puts these little Bannerlord battles to shame. These are like little scuffles. But maybe we got to wait for Bannerlord 3, right? Before we have 20,000 versus 50,000 on the battlefield. The reality is it would be wild to see. I mean, think of the scope of that, right? This is 1,700 troops. Imagine what 50,000 would look like. It'd be 30 times the troop. It would take you 3 minutes just to move through it, just to get to the walls, right? There'd be so many troops. And I think already this feels pretty epic. And I can hit that guy on the catapult here again. Some of the cities... I'm getting lit up here by archers, but we killed the guy on the fire catapult. That's the only way they're doing a lot of damage in this siege is that little fucker on the fire catapult. Try to get up there as soon as we can. But I'm not complaining, right? The way this Battlesize mod is working, and I'll remind you fellas that the Battlesize and the reinforcement system are not supposed to be compatible. Well, they work beautifully most of the time. You get little snafus, right? Sometimes the enemy joins when they shouldn't, or they behave strangely when they do join. It's not perfect, but if you're seeking this kind of epic gameplay and you've got a good system, God, he just scorched one of our daughter-in-laws. You little fucker, we're gonna make a boot out of your face. I think I killed him up there. There's a little fucker getting on the catapult. Get off our catapult. Kill him, troops. It works pretty well, right? The reinforcement system and the Battlesize mod, you gotta obviously have a good computer system, but man, it is epic, right? If you're used to, especially console with like 200 versus 400, this just must be mind-blowing, right? There's literally, I can barely move around because there's such a herd. It feels like I'm at a very popular market on a nice summer day, and you can't even get a fucking meal at you know, like a food cart because there's 700 people, and every bathroom there's a line of fucks, you know, out the door. That won't get out of the way for my punk ass because I need to use the bathroom too. Out of my way, right? You know, it's kind of what these battles feel like. Now, someday we are going to get a Bannerlord 3 or some kind of equivalent where we will have 2,000 versus 4,000 as computer systems get stronger, as consoles get stronger, right? There's no way they could have handled even the current Bannerlord 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So, anyways, I'm rambling here because this siege represents no threat. We're going to be able to blast through the door here. In fact, I'll just blast right through these guys on our own. Feeling a little bit cocky. And no Vlandians are joining, right? That would be the sound I would make if an axe took my head off. Kill this guy. Shit. Oh, here's the rock thrower. No rocks. All right, so mission number 1, right? Take one city. Again, it's a self-created quest here. We're going to try to take 2 more Vlandian cities, and I realize we're probably going to have to do this over 2 or 3 episodes. So this will probably be part 1. Taking Senon. We still got our defensive ring out there. The fire catapult is working. And the Vlandians were wise to not join this battle. We have 1,500 troops. They can't join. They would be immolated. Even if they had 1,500. We have defensive positions. And... shit, what do we do here? You know what? I think we'll just edit. I'm going to fight this, but I think we'll edit this out. Well, we're recording. We're back. Sorry, I probably should have just made that continuous, but I didn't. I kind of thought that this was... never mind. We're just going to keep recording. We're fighting that Vlandian force. It's about equal numbers, and they're getting reinforcements as we speak. I probably should have never hit the stop recording button, but here we are. Let's do some shit. Now they're taking a defensive stand, which is interesting, right? I'm glad I'm recording for that sake. It is recording. We have another glorious field of battle here. I think this is what, 3 battles now with the most beautiful scenery conceivable. This is just unbelievably beautiful. With the snow, and there's little puffy pink clouds and all the different striations and colors. It's amazing. And we've got a great tactical situation here because it doesn't really matter if our enemy plays defensive or offensive. If you know how to use skirmishers, if you know how to use archers combined with tough Nordic infantry, man, are you able to do some wicked things to your enemy here, right? We're going to close in the vice on this left side with an archer division and this 1st, 2nd, and 3rd division. What that is... just to reiterate, once in a while, I'll tell you guys, the 1st division is probably 80% Huskars, right? Or 50% at least. It's got a bunch of our best infantry, right? We're starting to run through them as we suffer losses. Our 6th division is over on our right side here, moving in, throwing javelins. And there's a bunch of Nautes in there, right? I know that because we spent the last, I don't know, 6-7 episodes trying to upgrade and get a bunch of Nautes, right? We're now putting those guys to use, and they're a terrific unit. They're basically about identical to a Batanian wildling. I think the differences between the two essentially makes them interchangeable in your mind, right? Maybe one of them, I think that the wildling is more athletic, barely, and I think the Naute maybe is a little bit less armored, but maybe does a little bit more throwing. Anyways, right, they're basically about the same. Over on this left side, too, we have this cavalry square. We keep doing this, right? You tell them to get off their horses, and it makes it a great distraction. It also does a really good job of absorbing enemy reinforcements, right? They're going to get reinforcements here, and I got a big fucking rock in the way of my plans here. So there's cavalry behind us, but they're ignoring us, mostly. Let's give them a good licking here. And I'm more concerned about the archers and the infantry than this cavalry. They have some cavalry in our backfield, but we have a bunch of archers back there, and I'm just going to bypass them. You know, those archers are going to suffer some losses, 170. But the archers outnumber the cavalry, right? So we can have them target the cavalry, and we have managed to completely get behind the enemy here. They are charging our front with 300 infantry and a bunch of crossbow. And it's going to take us, 20 seconds here, but we're going to be full on behind the enemy, envelop, cut off their retreat. We've got all kinds of... Ah, you little fuckers. We got all kinds of skirmishers that are just going to dump javelins downhill while the rest of our troops just rampage. Get those guys moved over. They have a bunch of cavalry on both wings, but that square at the top, right? I've been talking about it. It works incredibly well. Like, I'm in love with it. Just take a cav division, especially if you're playing the Nords. I think this is the best way to use cavalry. Especially if you have like 10% or less of your army is cavalry like we do. Just put them way out in front, put them in a square, and dismount them. Or different order, right? Put them in a shield wall, then dismount them, then put them in a square. That's probably the optimal. Damn, I'm getting cut up here. And what it does, of course, is that because they get out front, they absorb an enormous amount of attention, and that allows the rest of your units a lot more freedom here. And it's working beautifully. And it's sort of by accident that we've discovered this. Obviously, we've been using shield wall cavalry for a long time, but this is even more effective. Get the fuck out of here. Just carving. He's such a menace, this guy. I've never built a character like this before. We've had some great characters, but I've just never had a character quite like this before. He just seems to... There's nothing he's not incredible at, right? He throws axes. He cuts down horsemen. He's got great equipment. He's tough. He moves fast. The only thing he doesn't have is the high medicine skill, right? We've had more powerful characters from an overall perspective, but as far as a Porsche that I've had to drive, apart from a few Disaster of War series where we took over characters that had like custom weapons and level 50 or whatever, and I mean, that's just the most beautiful conceivable graphics. There's like this unearthly light pouring over the horizon here. This is an absolute Porsche, and especially against a bunch of spread out archers like this. I got a third of my health bar. Let's get violent here, right? Let's just carve them up. We got our super fast axe. It's 104 speed, and they don't even know what hit them, and everybody's killed. Nobody can catch them. We could drag our shock troops in here as well. There's plenty of bull cut fucks to cut in. And it's just ridiculous, right? It's just so fast. Nobody can outswing you. You run like the wind. There's a bunch of guys chasing me haplessly. They can't catch me. And everything is just carved to pieces. Now, these are peasants. These must have joined. These must have joined because they thought they could win. They can't. Not unless a whole bunch of more Vlandians show up. And there are more here. Let's not get carried away. That's a bunch, actually. Let's get the 6th Division up here. The 3rd Division should be on my hip. We're going to have to get our archers repositioned here, too. I wonder how many more forces are up here. In fact, the 7th Division, I forgot about them. Let's get those guys over here. And that's that cav square. It's still, 100% because it's so difficult for the enemy to deal with. Squares are, absolutely one of the best formations in all of Bannerlord, right? Guys are like, oh my god, I just discovered squares. It's incredible. Absolutely, right? The ability to block projectiles and deal with huge infantry masses, even huge cavalry charges, it's unrivaled, right? Even a shield wall is not nearly as effective because it's multi-directional, especially if you have great troops like Huskarls in a square. But in this case, our cavalry is good cavalry, right? I don't know actually what the units are. Uh-oh. I hope we don't die. We got, I don't know what our cavalry is because we don't have cavalry, right? Who has cavalry is some of our vassals. But they're armored, right? A lot of cavalry is already tier 3, tier 4. And then I think a lot of the cavalry that we have is probably like elite Manavali or elite cataphracts and, high-end cavalry. So they're extremely heavily armored. Joining the enemy forces. A patrol is joining. So this is the downside of the reinforcement system. I don't know if there's a bunch more coming, but a patrol should not join a battle that's over. The system doesn't operate beautifully, perfectly, but it also doesn't matter. Who cares if 20 troops die at the end of this battle? It's not going to play out anything. And the upside with the reinforcement system is so vast, is so awesome, that we're just going to continue to use it. We haven't actually had any seriously wonky situations. And a bunch of death, but they're not our characters, so that's so we don't care. Somebody else died. What's that Tool song, right? We all want to see things die from a safe distance. And that's exactly what happened here. This Vlandian force tried to counter us outside Sinon and got obliterated. 73 wounded. We're going to have to leave a garrison here at Sinon, but I think this is where it's a good spot for me to wrap up these episodes, to separate these episodes. This invasion might be a three-part series, because I want to keep these episodes 40 to 60 minutes. This invasion is obviously going to take more than 40 minutes. We've only done one city, right? We've still got to get to Legetta. We've still got to get to Pencannock. Right? It's going to be interesting. Can we do it? Right now, we're not going to suicide in the end. If there's 2,800 defenders and we have 400, we're not going to charge. But there's a storyline behind it, right? If we fail, there will have to be some sort of realistic consequence of that, right? And of course, if we get captured, we'll have to see what we do here. And look at this. What a beautiful piece of head armor here. Some future son or daughter of the Heavy Hand can wear that. There's some nice shit here at this city. And not too much else. We're going to sell a little bit of food here, although we could also take some of their nice food. Food normally is not too big of a problem when you invade, because the bottom line is the food system is too generous. It's too forgiving, right? I remember doing the math on it, and you could have something like 9 years worth of food and you can still move around. I mean, that's not a thing. Not to mention food would spoil. But they're trying to be gentle on people. They don't want people pulling their hair out just trying to figure out fucking logistics in Bannerlord. I do wish there was a difficulty setting or a mod setting where you could make it so that your army runs through food faster. Food's a major issue for a large army when you make an invasion. How do I know this? Because I've studied the 18 and 12 invasion like a college nerd, right? The 18 and 12 invasion into Russia by Napoleon is one of my favorite war topics. And maybe during this campaign, we'll talk about it a little bit. I have a vast degree of background knowledge from it. So Sigvatar Thodarsson's sieging. Dathma is being besieged, right? I was worried about the Aserai. And indeed, they're coming in, and that's not enough defense to hold back Yusuf ibn Ayyub, also known as Saladin. So the campaign's going to continue to get spicy, friends. We're going to have twists, turns, cutscenes, naked boobies. My wife has promised we would get her boobs on the channel. Just lost 200 subscribers. Or maybe we gained 1,200. You should see her boobs. Oh boy, I better wrap this shit up before I get myself in trouble. I'm blushing. She's not in the room or she'd be frowning. And I would be getting my blankets down to the couch. All right, if you want to see more, please subscribe. Hit that like button on the way out, friends. And I will see you next time.